Good evening. This lecture לרפואת דניאל אהרון בן רות דבורה אלישבע בת שרה לעילוי נשמת מוניק מרדכי בן ברנו, זיווג ורפואה, חיים טובים וארוכים, and happiness for ליאורה בת ברנו, הצלחה חיים ארוכים וטובים לאסתר בת ברנו, health and success and learning תורה for מיכאל בן ברנו, רפואת יעקב בן נחה, רפואת מיכאל בן רבקה, אליהו יוסף בן דבורה, and ברוך השם, now it's the yortzeit of Moshe Rabbeinu, עליו השלום. Tonight, Zayin Be'adar just started 2 hours ago. We are now officially in a day, the birth and the path of Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what they said, tzaddikim feel their life. He lived 120 years, full, from the same date to the same date. And Bezrat Hashem on Purim, it will be the yortzeit of Rav Moshe Feinstein, which reminds me that next Monday, next Tuesday, there's no lectures. No lectures next week. Monday night is the reading of the Megillah. We have to go to shuls to hear the Megillah. And Tuesday it's Purim. I won't remember where I am probably by next Tuesday night. You definitely don't want to hear a lecture from me that night. Let's put it that way. So next week, no lectures. I have the lecture of last Tuesday, which we didn't post online yet. Bezrat Hashem will do it in the next day or two, so we'll have an extra lecture to watch for next week. One announcement, my new app, I have a new app, updated one, that came, it's on the air as of today, iPhone and Android. Just go to the App Store and update your existing app, Rabbi Yosef Mizrachi. If you don't see a difference, you have to uninstall the app and reinstall it. When I went to update it, I had to delete mine and then reinstall it. Different background and a lot more features are coming up. The difference between the app, the old one, every time we wanted to make an update, it would be a nightmare. Takes forever. This one is state of the art. You can run update in minutes. So we're going to have a lot of new features. We're going to have all the series concentrated together. It's going to be more organized. Please share it with others. You also will be able to hear lectures in the background while you're doing other things on your phone or in your car. So that will be very nice. Also, one last announcement before we move on with our series is the Rabbi Golan, the tzaddik from the Bedin, Rav Binyamin Golan, is the author of the amazing book, Welcome to Judaism, that you have it in 4 languages, in Hebrew, English, Spanish, and Russian. The English shipment arrived to United States. You can get them now. The price for that is $35. It's a very fine paper. It's all nice, bright, shiny, very highest quality with lots of color pictures. The price is very good, and it's a life-changing book. It explains all the basics, the 13 principles, the laws of Shabbat, the laws of blessing, the concept of Judaism, how to pray. Every beginner must read this book. And people who want to buy quantity, they can contact Rabbi Golan at lovejews.com. You can just send an email and you can buy large quantity for a discounted price. I think I cover all the announcements. So Bezrat Hashem, this shiur will be also for the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom and Rav Moshe ben David Feinstein, which is his funeral was actually on Purim in Jerusalem. They arrived to Jerusalem. He passed here in Purim, and Jerusalem is 1 day later. So his funeral actually took place in Yerushalayim with thousands of people on the day of Purim. It's interesting. So, we're continuing now, Baruch Hashem, our series. We got a lot of good comments about it. And last week, we finished the second chapter, Perek Sheni. Now we're going to start Perek Shlishi, third chapter. But this is the second lecture in a series. The Ramchal continue. We already mentioned that the human being was created for the purpose of being attached to God. What does it mean to be attached to God? Like I once gave an analogy, like connecting a phone to the charger, right? The phone has no existence without that wire. That connection gives it life. The soul of a person doesn't need a cable. It's a cordless, it's a wireless connection, spiritual connection. As we explained last week, this connection can be interrupted with the sins that a person commit. The more sins he commit, the more layers he has around his soul, which close the divine light from arriving into the soul. The food of the soul, the body needs food, right? You put food into your stomach, it creates blood, it gives you life. No food, no life. But the soul does not benefit from the food you eat. The soul needs spiritual food. And the spiritual food is connection to God. Why? Because a spark from Hashem, from God, is actually what reviving the soul for eternity. The soul is a creation. Just like everything else, Hashem created Adam's soul, which later started to split to millions of bodies, which is like a divine energy. But that energy will remain for eternity only because a part of it, not the whole thing, a part of it is the actual spark from God Himself. Like the Gemara say, Man de nafach midele ke nafach. As it's written in the first verse in Genesis, in the first chapter, Vayitzer Hashem Elokim et Adam min ha'adama, and God created Adam sent from the ground, Vayipach be'apav nishmat chaim, and he blew into his nostrils a living soul, Vayi Adam lenefesh chaya, and a human being became alive. What made him alive? Speak, hear, listens, remember, express emotions, all these things that a person does. What gave him the ability? The entry of the divine soul into the body. That's what makes the body is able to function and to move. Obviously, when the soul leaves the body, immediately a person falls and he dies. Even though he has the entire system, the heart, the lung, everything there, but it's not functioning without the divine soul. But that soul, how is it going to remain forever? The answer is, God took a piece of Himself, which is eternal, and planted it into that human soul, and made it divine and eternal. In the other book of the Ramchal, Mesilat Yesharim, the classic legendary book, Path to the Just, which I also made a series about it, in the first chapter, he explained that Hashem had to make the human being with a system that he'll be able to practice the commandments and gain the merit to get his reward. That the reward will not be something that comes for free. Because if you receive something for free, you are ashamed. You begin to feel embarrassment. The more you get, the more you suffer. Why? Because it's shame, it's a spiritual pain. You feel like a needy. How come people keep giving me? Let me earn it. So you begin to offer help. If someone hosting you for a week in his house, cooking for you, cleaning for you, giving you everything, serving you, after a day or two, you don't feel comfortable anymore. So you suggest, can I help? Can I go shopping? Can I help you with the car? Can I help you with the kids? Can I take out the dog? Why all of a sudden you became such a tzaddik? You're a lazy bum usually when you're in your house. You can't even get up from the couch to make a cup of tea for yourself. How all of a sudden you're suggesting so much help to your host? The answer is because without it you suffer. The more he gives you, the more you suffer. Therefore you don't want to suffer. You suggest something in return. You did for me, I don't want to owe you. Let me give you something in return. Like this, it makes me feel good when you give me something that I actually deserve it. So, either way, a smart person would ask, who told God to make us with such a feeling? He could make us like leech. The leech suck the blood and they don't feel ashamed. They keep taking your blood and taking and taking and taking. The more they suck, the more they enjoy, the more they, they get what they want. And they never felt that they get something that they don't deserve to get. He could have made us like this. Like, we suck the blood more and more and more and don't feel anything wrong with that. That's a very good question. Who told him to make us with shame? Eliminate the shame. Well, like this, you put us in heaven and give us great reward, unbelievable spiritual pleasure for eternity. Everyone will be happy. No one suffer. No sicknesses. No problem. No drugs issue. No gambling. No hard work. No traffic. No Bernie Sanders. All of that, you wouldn't have to suffer the hell we have to go through. And what would we get? Wonderful life. Who needs to come to this world to be in a body, to sit in a bathroom, to eat, to make food, to bother, to go to the market, to carry boxes? Who needs all this headache? Raising children. Just put the soul in heaven and finished. Don't you think God thought about it? Obviously, if he didn't do it, it wasn't a good option. Because everything he does, it's the most perfect option. Why he didn't do it? The answer is, he wanted us to earn that we shouldn't feel shame. But the question is, why did you make us with shame? Eliminate the shame, and like this, we don't suffer. The answer is because the only reason that your soul survives for eternity is only because it's apart from me. And I can never be changed. I am the most perfect thing. That's the creator of the world. And one of the things that it's my personality, if you can call it personality, is that shame is a spiritual thing. It's a very positive thing to have shame. Therefore, since I planted in you a part of myself, that part can never be changed. So automatically you have your existence, it's a package deal. The only reason you are going to remain for eternity and the soul will never die, and you can be in heaven for trillions of years, it's never going to end. The only reason that your soul will not evaporate and disappear and will remain forever is because a part of it is a part of me. That's what gives the soul all the ability that the soul has. Therefore, since in me you have all these traits, none of that can be changed. After this beautiful explanation, if somebody asks you, why did Hashem make us? Why did he need to make such a world? Why did he have to send Adam and Eve to the world to start? What's going on in this world? The answer will be, the real answer. Everything I told you is beautiful, it makes sense, it gives us a little bit of understanding, but the real answer is, we will never know. That's the real answer. The real perfect truth, we have no ability to know. We will only know when we finish our circle here in this physical world. When we go up to the upper world, the Zohar, the Kabbalah is teaching that over there we'll get permission to understand all the mysteries and all the secrets about this life, about the world, about our personal life, about our family and friends and relatives. Over there, everything will be clear. Every detail will be clear. Why you were sick, why you vomit, why you had to go through surgery, why you missed your shidduch, why you got a wife that is mentally sick and she destroyed your life, why you had such children, why you had this problem, why your parents were like this, why they abused you when you were a child, who you used to be in your past life, why you got such a horrible life. Everything will make perfect sense. Over there, you're not going to have one tiny question about why it happened to me. Why did I deserve it? Everything will be clear. Right now we have billions and trillions of questions. We don't know the answer to one of them. We don't know why we have money. We don't know why we broke. We don't know why we're sick. We don't know why we are healthy. We don't know why we're married. We don't know why we are single, why we have kids or we don't have kids, why we have such horrible kids, why we have such great kids, why we live in this house and not in that house, why those are our parents. And I can give you another 5 million questions right now until next week. And the answer to all of that, we don't have any idea. One thing it's wonderful to know that very soon, once we're going to go to the court of heaven, in less than a second, over there's no time limitation. What takes you, let's say, a day to understand, over there you learn in less than a second. Everything goes like a fast download. Everything will be clear. Everything, you know all your past life. You know if you had a dog, who was reincarnated in that dog? Who was he to you in your past life? Why Hashem made you a servant of a dog, which is a curse in life? Why you have to clean the waste of a dog 3 times a day in the street? A Jew, a lawyer, a doctor, a religious Jew, whatever the case may be, has to be a servant of such an animal. Who is this dog? Who used to be this dog in his past life? What kind of a person he was? Where maybe it was a person you torture and now you became his servant. There could be millions of things. None of that we understand right now. But the main question is, why did Hashem create this world and He put us over here? We will only know when we disconnect it completely from the physical body. Physical body is a liability, is an obstacle, is holding us back. It's limited. Therefore, we have, because of the physical body, we have a limited ability. We cannot reach the maximum divinity of our soul once the soul is in a body. Because the body is always fighting against the soul. Always. Whatever the soul wants, the body wants the opposite. It's a battle. It's like a boxing battle between the body and the soul. Who is going to win? When the soul is up, the body is suppressed. When the body is down, the soul is suppressed. You want the soul to overcome the body. The more the body overcomes the soul, the more wicked you are. The more the soul overcomes the body, the more righteous you are. It's a very simple mathematical rule. That's how it goes. Same thing in this world. When the Jews are up spiritually, Ishmael, the Arabs are sinking. When the Jews go down in a spiritual level and connection to Hashem and Torah, the Arabs are rising. Why? Both of them cannot be up. Either Israel is up, Ishmael is down. Israel is down, Ishmael is up. The Arabs, the Muslims, the children of Ishmael, don't have their own independence, meaning they are subject to what we're going to do. When we please Hashem, automatically eliminates them. When we upset Hashem, automatically elevates them and give them the power to kill us every hour and to steal our land and to claim that the Holy Land belongs to them and to claim that their fake religion is the main one, and if you're not going to become one of them, you're not going to, have whatever you want to have, and all the rest of their nonsense. The only reason they are on a rise is because everyone around them became very wicked. So they have one thing, they have faith. They believe in God. Almost all Arabs believe in God. It's almost impossible to find an atheist Arab. Maybe 1 out of 1,000. Unfortunately, with a broken heart, I'm saying that half of the Jews, when you speak to them about God, they don't even want to hear the word God. They are disgusted to hear about religion. Look at them in Israel every Saturday night and every other day, what riots and anarchy they make. 100, 130, 140,000 wicked people, biggest lowlife on earth, how they scream against Torah, against religion. Some of them were crying very much today that some Jewish settlers went on a revenge against the place where the Arabs killed the 2 brothers today. People had so much rage because every day people get killed, every day Jews get killed. They just could not hold themselves. They went and they burned Arab cars and property. You had to see how the lefties were crying about the Arab property. Now that I justify it, nobody should take the law into his hand and become violent and start killing people or burning property. That's not the way to handle things. But you see from the way they see, when the enemy suffer, they suffer. When the Jewish people suffer, they are happy. It's unbelievable. Those are the Arab Rav that Moshe Rabbeinu adapted to the Jewish nation. I once was asking myself, what is the first question every Jew would like to ask Moshe Rabbeinu in the time of the resurrection of the dead? When we come out of our graves, let's hope that it's going to be in our days, that we don't have to go to the grave and rise. But those who already passed, our grandparents, the holy rabbis, everyone will rise from the dead. When we're going to see who is Moshe, we're finally going to see how he looks. Until now, we only have a name. Finally going to see his image. And everyone will have permission to come and shake his hand. Shalom Aleichem, Moshe ben Amram. We grew up on you. We learned everything you taught us. Finally, it's an honor to take a picture with you, a selfie if you don't mind. Moshe, come, sit right here. Smile to the camera. Okay, after the nonsense, we will have one permission. Everyone has one question to ask him. What question will you ask Moshe Rabbeinu? There's a million options. Every one of them is a good one. I can tell you what I would ask. I would ask him, what was on your mind when you decided to adopt all these Egyptians, Erev Rav? Look how much we suffer from them every generation. Until a minute before Messiah come, the Mashiach, they were eating us from inside like cancer. Cancer from inside, cooperating with the BDS, with the anti-Semite Europeans, helping the Nazis in the time of the Holocaust, turning Jewish property into their hands, instigating between Israel and United States and other countries, promoting Hamas and other murder propaganda, and the worst, hating God and the religion and the religious people. They hate us just as much as the Nazis hate us. They hate us more than the Greeks hated us. More than the Greeks that you read, Antiochus and his friends, that came to destroy the temple and to impure the oils and all that. All these lefty, liberal Erev Rav that you see now in Israel on the streets every day, they hate religious people more than the Greeks hated us. No question about it. They are much worse than the Greeks in those days. Much worse, and very, very dangerous as well. So the question now, we have to go through a very hard period of time with them. See what they do. Everyday problems, anarchy, the government cannot take control over them. Today, one religious guy quit from the government. He has 2 seats. We went from 64 to 62. You need 61 to survive. Less than that, you're done. That's already very bad news. Avi Maoz, he was very much anti-gay, anti-horrible propaganda and agenda and terrible ideology of all these Reshaim. He was very, very good and straight with his mind. You have to see the comments after he resigned. I promise you, once you read the comments, you will be so upset that you will be wondering how HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not wipe out Israel yet. You won't believe it. 400 messages, all of them wishing him to die. We got rid of this dark person. Finally the gays are celebrating and all the other Reshaim. We should get rid of all you and your friends. You should die. You should drop dead. Hopefully that's showing that at the end of this government, almost everybody there is a hater of Hashem, hater of Torah, hater of rabbis, and hater of the Jewish state. Among us, these are the Erev Ravs. 400 messages, now one was positive. I sent it to few people in Israel. I say, now you understand why they say a week ago that Iran almost have uranium to make the first bomb? Who knows, as we speak now, they're preparing the first bomb. How they succeeded against all odds. Sanctions, problems, decrees, the whole world against them. They go full force. How is it possible? Maybe Hashem does prepare something for us in the end. I'm not surprised when I read his messages. If 400 messages and all of them were against Torah and pro-gay and pro-horrible things, all of them, how many like this you have in a country? 2, 3 million? How does it give us the right to exist? I know it's hard words what I say, but reality is reality. We can live in illusion as much as we want. If these are the people that live in a holy land, it's impossible to go on like that. Something must happen. People say it's going to be milchemet achim, brotherhood war. There's no such thing brotherhood and brotherhood. Brotherhood is between two friends who have one issue. They have a fight, but overall they're brothers, like brother, cousin, friends, neighbors. Over here there's big enemies. These are people who want to destroy us. If they see us, the religious people, if they see the religious people die, they are making parties. That's not brothers. That's called civil war. Just like here in the United States. It was not milchemet achim, it was a civil war. One side against the other. Two different ideologies. People who love Hashem and love Torah, and they are righties, and people that are lefty, liberal, haters of Torah, pro-abomination, and pro-everything that God hates. Going back to our subject, so the Ramchal in chapter 3 begins. We already mentioned that a person is created to be attached to Hashem. And a person is maneuvering between going towards perfectness and going towards defect. What side you're going towards? To become more perfect or to become more defected? How is it going to be determined? By the choices the person make. How much Torah he learns, how much he prays, how much he fights his desires. He has the ability to reach shlemut, to be complete. But it has to be 100% his will, and it has to be 100% his wish. Right? If a person was obligated, if he was obligated to choose the perfectness, the shlemut, he will never become complete. If Hashem would take you with his hand and always push you towards the positive side. You want to go to the negative because it's appealing, it's big desire. So what happens? A hand comes, smack you, and you always go towards the right side. Every time you move to the left, in the car, this button that you press, that when the car wants to go off the lane, it pushes the wheel back into the lane. They have in the new cars now, stay in lane system. It's an Israeli invention. Every time you want to look down, you want to turn your back to see what's in the back seat of the car, you now worry. Because as soon as the car is starting to shift to the left, he immediately turns the wheel to the right. If he wants to go to the right, it will turn it to the left. And make sure you stay in between the lane on the right path. But when there is going to be a power that forces the person to go into the positive side, and the person will become complete, this status will all be fake. It will not be called complete. Why? The Ramchal explained. Enenu be'alav. You didn't really gain that. It was forced on you. Kevan she'uchrach me'acher liknoto. Someone puts a gun to you and make you do things. No one can hold you guilty about what you did. And no one can give you credit for what you did. Someone puts a gun to your head and say, give the poor man $20 on the street. Give him or I shoot you. And you gave him $20. Then later you come and say, hey, I'm very generous. I gave $20 to the poor man. Everyone laugh. You gave? The gun gave. You deserve zero acknowledgement. If someone made you steal from the homeless $20 from his box with a gun, no one will hold you guilty for being a thief. Either way, it's not you, it's the gun. Therefore, you can never expect that Hashem will always push you to the positive direction, because if you will, right there, you lost your reward. You're not going to get anything. And that's not God's will. Therefore, Hashem made a system that a person will be forced to choose between the good and bad, and will have the strength to choose with knowledge and wisdom which one of the items he wants to get, which one of the paths he wants to walk through, and the ability to gain whichever one of them that he would like. That's why he has two inclinations, the good and the bad. The evil inclination and the good inclination. And the choice is 100% in his hand to which direction to push himself through. So, Rabotai, gaining with force is not gaining. It's fake gaining. It's worthless. Therefore, a person has two opposites in him, always acting at the same time. The soul and the body. The body came from the dirty sand, and the soul came from the pure God. Two complete opposites. The lowest thing compared to the highest thing. And they are forced to be in one box, which is the body. Everyone pull towards his nature. The soul is divine, pull you towards divinity. And the body, which is the lowest thing, it has no value, push you towards desires, materialism. And there's always going to be a constant war between the two. If a person would let the material win, the soul will be dragged into the sand as well, to the lowest level. And the complete opposite of perfectness, of being complete. And if he will pull the body into the divinity, into the spiritual ability, the body will be purified and upgraded to a higher level. The period of the test of the human being is limited to his existence in this physical world. But the reward is not limited at all. People may ask, listen, if I work 10 hours, you pay me for 10 hours. Let's say I make $20 an hour. I work 10 hours, you gave me $200. $200 will be wasted in a day or two. After 2 days, what I earned, I lost. Meaning the test, the work is limited, and the reward is limited. That's everything in this world. Whatever job you do, you get X amount of money, which will run out one day. It's not going to remain forever. But because the reward is eternal, something spiritual never ends. Remember. Therefore, it will be endless reward. You may ask, it's not fair. I only was in the world 40 years, and now I gain enough reward for billions of years? How? There's not enough time to earn so much. You can set a formula. How much I make per hour? Let's say I'm the Baba Sali, the most perfect tzaddik in the world. How much I make an hour spiritually? Let's say $1 million an hour. Okay? I'm just translating it to money. After 50, 60, 70 years of being righteous, multiply by $1 million per hour, it will be $1 trillion. The $1 trillion at one point will end. After 500 years, after 1,000 years, there will be a time that this reward will be wasted. How is it possible that this reward will never end, like the sun? Keeps giving light and fire and warmth, and never wasted. The sun keeps going and going for thousands of years, and the temperature is the same. How is it possible? That's what Ramchal is talking about now. When he says like this, the period of the test was limited to X amount of time in this world. But the reward has no end. It's eternal. But the same way that time is changing, summer, winter, spring, all of that, fall, same thing, the situation of the human being is changing constantly. He has to put his effort in everything that he needs to be focusing on to gain what the purpose commanded him to gain. And he has to be always in a constant war between the brain and the body, meaning the soul and the body, the knowledge and the will, the brain and the desire and the heart. It's a war between the brain and the heart. Sensitive people, you know these people that they hear something, immediately they begin to cry and they get emotional. And as soon as they begin to talk, they begin to cry. Usually it's more women, but sometimes even men are emotional. People like these, that means that their feelings dominate their life. The brain say what's right and wrong. They're not stupid. They know what's right and what's wrong. They see. At the time when they choose what to do, they know 100% that they will regret it later on. That it's the wrong thing to do. They know it. But they can't help it. Why is it? Because they are very emotional. What's the solution for that? What's the solution for that? Hard work, practice, lots of learning of ideology of Ashkafa, and begging Hashem to help them to overcome their emotions. Because if you follow your emotions, you're going deeper and deeper every day. But emotions is one thing. There's something worse than emotion. What is it? Material. Materialism. The attraction to physical pleasure. Jewelry, clothing, cars, heat, air condition, water, boats, business class, delicious food, which almost every person has. Someone will tell you, I don't have desires for these things, is a liar. Everyone has desire for it, whether he's religious, whether he's not religious, whether he's a Jew, whether he's a Goy. Everyone is created with attraction to physical thing. Of course, not all people are equal. Some people are more materialistic and some less. Even among brothers, you see. Some all the time come to the parents and want money, and some don't care so much. They're not after that. So you see, from a very young age, one is more into it than the other. From a very young age, which can be continuation of past life. That's how they die, that's how they continue. One is more material, and the other one is less material. The one that is more materialistic will not do so well in spirituality, because there is no way to be at the same time both of them. You cannot be strong in materialism and strong in spirituality at the same time. There's no such thing. And even if you are a religious person who come to learn and pray, and you love Hashem, and you have moments of enlightenment, but you're really crazy about this world, you need your Mercedes, and you need your $100,000 watch, and you need your fur coat, and you need your mansion, and you need your summer house, and you need your boat, and you need all this nonsense. At the same time, you come to shul in the nets, and you pray with devotion, and you sit to learn the Torah. It looks like you can be both of them at the same time. Yeah, you see? He is very much into materialism. He lives like a Saudi sheikh. But at the same time, look how spiritual he is. Look how he talk about Torah with joy. That's an illusion. This person could have been 100 times more spiritual and 100 times more holy if he would be able to overcome his desire for materialism. Materialism is a drug that destroys the life of a human being. It destroys the spirituality, it destroys the connection with Hashem, and it always pulls you down to the ground instead of to the heaven. That's why when a person is Mechalel Shabbat, he gets a punishment, death by stoning. They throw him from a mountain, and he falls down and dies. And the question is, why from all the punishments that are available in the world, why does he have to die by stoning? What really kills him? The laws of nature, gravity. You push him from the hill. What pulls him down quickly to the ground? The magnet, the law of gravity. If there was no law of gravity, it would be like in the moon. You push him from the mountain, he will fly like a bird. Nothing would happen. What killed him? The earth that he was so much in love with. That's what caused him to be Mechalel Shabbat, to open his business, to touch the electric, to cook. All the things that brings physical pleasure to what? To the body. What is the body? Adama. Adama. Adama, it's earth. The earth is the main thing in your life. You're focused on the earth to give pleasure to the earth. The earth will kill you. All measure for measure. You understand how it works? Nothing is coincidence, obviously. By Hashem, everything is deep and brilliant. So it's always going to be a war. So when you see someone that lives in a fancy lifestyle that is spiritual, don't be fooled by that. He should have been 100 times more spiritual. If we give up all the hunger for physical pleasure, he would overcome that, would live very simple, would drive a simple car, would wear simple clothes, will not care about watches and jewelries and vacation and delicious food. None of that would even concern him. All he would care is about spirituality. You won't recognize him. A year later, he would be a whole different person. There are some rich American kids who grew up in a very, very high-class families, meaning very wealthy. At one point, they just didn't like it. They were very spiritual, and they moved to Israel, and they live in Tzfat, by the mountains with the goats. There's yeshiva there on the mountain. All day learn Torah, make their own cheese, praying, sitting with tefillin all day in the talit, playing flute for the goats. Disconnected from screen, don't know smartphone, don't have banking, nothing, everything simple. Their parents send them a few $100 a month and they leave, that's it. They don't care. You look at the room, you look at the bed, they don't care about anything. They can come back here and live like a king in mansions. They don't want anything to do with this fake life. You tell them, wow, you're sitting here with such simple lifestyle? Your parents are so wealthy, why? You cannot live normal? That's what I want. I don't want any more than that. And even if they get a nice allowance, some of them made some money in their business and they have residual income. What do you think they do with the money? Give it to all the poor around, to this Bachur Yeshiva, this one. Like they live like them. There are many people like this. Why? They got the point. We are not here to stay. This is a place of a test. I'm not going to invest all my efforts in my condition in this world, like the Ramchal say. This world is a hallway to the real world. You don't care when you walk through the hallway, what's in the hallway. You care about what's in the room once you pass the door. So, the Ramchal continue. There are laws of nature. They are routine. the same laws of nature will always remain. From the minute Hashem created the world until now, every law of nature is the same law of nature. But there is one law in nature that materialism and desires will always be in effect. They will never die out in your entire life. And they don't have any time out. Also, one of the laws of nature that your brain can never have a time out from thinking. Even when you sleep, you think. Meaning the brain doesn't have a pause. Let me put my brain 10 hours to rest. There's no such thing. The brain always work, the desires always work, the laws of nature always work, and time always move. There is no way to pause and say, let me take a break. I had a rough month. I want to put my brain now on pause. 10 hours, I pause it, I don't move, the brain relax. Now we restart, like in your car when the screen freeze, you have to reboot the system. There's no such thing by the brain. Those are the laws that Hashem made in the world. You always think, you always on the move, up or down, always on the move. There's not 1 second you stay the same. Right now, you are more righteous than a minute ago because you learn an extra minute of Torah. So your graph in heaven went up a little bit. If you were in 68.3, 3333, now you are at 68.3334. And maybe in the next half an hour it will go to 63.45. You either go up or you go down. If you were sitting now home and watching a stupid basketball game, bunch of people running after a piece of leather and screaming and making faces of all kinds of monkeys, like this. That's what interests you. Obviously, you see 2-3 hours of your time, you burn, you're on the way down. You learn Torah, you're on the way up. You pray, you're on the way up. You think about Hashem, you're on the way up. You think about horrible things, you're on the way down. Every second, you're on a move. So the Ramchal continue. I once asked, there are 3 major desires in a person's life. I'm talking about men. What are the 3 most critical desires in the life of a man? 1, money. Greed, money. 2, food. And 3, women. Money, food, and women. Which one of those 3 desires is the worst one? Money? What do you say? Everyone agree money? Women. What else? Nobody thinks food is the strongest desire? Huh? Take a person that loves to eat, put a delicious steak in front of him with good French fries and good sauce, and tell him, I'm giving you $100 not to touch the steak. And he needs the money. What do you think? He's going to give up? He looks at the steak, the smell. Just stare at the steak. Will he be able to overcome that test? That's one question. Take a person that loves women, give them a beautiful woman in front of him, who ask him to go with her to some places and tell him, no, sit, just look, you're not allowed to go. Close your eyes, you can't even look. What are the odds that he will agree? Take a person that loves money. All his life, greed, materialism. And he said, there's $1 million in a box. But, hey, I'm leaving, but don't touch it. When I come back next week, I want to see it still here. He looks at $1 million, all organized with no bills like this in a box. He doesn't know who you are, he doesn't have your ID, no cameras, nothing. He can grab it and run. I don't know, run to Brazil, Thailand, whatever. What are the odds he won't touch the box? Those are three very hard desires. And which one of them is the worst? Is it depend who you ask? If you ask a person who likes to eat all day, he will tell you food is the hardest for me. With the other two I can manage. If you ask a person that is all he cares about is women and going out and this, he can give up money for that. He's paying a lot of money for it. So he has no problem getting rid of money as long as he gets the other desire. So the question is, by him, obviously you see what he's after. And a person that all he wants is to gain wealth, he doesn't have time for women and doesn't have time to eat. Do you know these people that 5 times a minute they pick up their pants? Those are the kind. Why? Because they don't have time to eat. They're busy 20 hours a day making money. They come home at 11, leave in the morning 7 o'clock. Money, money, money. What? You don't want to find a shidduch? You don't want to get married? You don't want to enjoy your wife? Leave me alone. I have a career now. All I care about is success. So everyone has a different desire maybe. Some people have all 3 desires, but even them you can compare which desires they have more. For instance, a person that has strong desire to women and strong desire for money. When there's a conflict between running after women but spending tons of money, now you're going to know what does he love more, money or women. Can he let thousands of dollars go in a dinner like one Bukharian guy in Miami before I took off his ponytail? One time when I was there for Shabbaton, we came out of the shul and we walk right by their shul. There is a very fancy restaurant, not kosher. I see maybe 10 Rolls Royce double parked on a block from both sides of the street. Bentley and Rolls Royce, all the cars. Immediately I knew there's something there. I asked the guy, what's over here? Friday night after the lecture, it's already 11:30 at night. We came out of the shul. We're walking now towards, everyone where he lives. He said to me, it's a very fancy restaurant. All the movie stars, all the famous, the rich. You see a lot of drivers with Rolls Royce outside. And then the guy said to me, one time I didn't know this place. I wasn't religious. I went out on a date. We came into that restaurant. They give us the menu with the wine menu. The cheapest wine bottle over there, $20,000 and up. Very expensive wines, very, for those who understand about wine. My eyes almost came out. It's going to be thousands of dollars, this meal. So, he's thinking now, I'm going with this girl on a date, which most likely nothing will come out of it. Do I want to burn $20,000 to be with her for 2 hours? Absolutely not. So what will I do? I have to tell her, hey, we came to the wrong place. But then comes the shame, which is very painful. So he was afraid to say something. But he was hoping, begging Hashem, even though he wasn't religious, that the girl would say, we came to the wrong place. Imagine now the girl say, I would like this and this and this, $50,000 bill. What would be? Bukharian would take a mortgage for that 2 hours dinner. But Baruch Hashem, he had a good kosher girl. She didn't want to take advantage on him. What happened? She told him, I think we came to the wrong place. It's crazy. What's these prices? Say, yeah, you're right. I've never been here. And they went to McDonald's after that. You understand the point? So the point is, what does the person love more? Sometimes there's a conflict. If he loves more the women, he doesn't care to lose a lot of money for it, even though he loves money as well. If he loves money more, he doesn't care to lose the woman because he loves money more. If he loves food more than everything, he doesn't even want to go on a date. It's a waste of time. I can sit home and eat. So after all this analogy, conclusion, which one of the three is the worst? The answer, money. Money is the worst. Why?
Because every other desire in life, you have on and off. The desire renew. For instance, you eat. You explode now. You cannot get up from the chair. You ate for 3 hours in a restaurant. You're about to vomit now. Now they say, we're bringing you 3 more steaks. 3 more steaks. 3 more steaks? I can't even put my finger in my throat to vomit. That's how much I'm full. No, Ma, we just started. From now it becomes a torture. You don't have desire for more steaks. You want to get up and leave. That means the desire for food right now is in a level 0. Right? There is a timeout. Here it goes down to 0. For how long? 2, 3, 4 hours. It will be on a level 0, then it goes to 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30. The desire is renewed. After 6 hours, it can go up to 100%. This is what life is about when it comes to food. Desire for women, the same. You were there, committing all the sins you want, and then after that, say, okay, I need a few hours break. The desire doesn't last forever. So what happened? Even that desire goes down to 0 and then begin to renew. Depends on a person how much more time he needs. But money, there is never a second that you're free of that desire. You just made $1 million, your hunger just went up double. Once you're going to make 5 million, your appetite went down now into the 20, 30 million. So whenever you come to America and you begin to make a few $100s a week, that's a great upgrade from Israel, how much you've been making there. So now you feel, wow, I make 3 times more now. So what do you say? Wow, I'm so happy. I work in the same job and I make 3 times more. After 2 weeks, you say, if you give me double, it will be the dream of my life. If I make instead of 3,000 a month, 6,000 a month, wow, that's my goal. I'll be the happiest person in the world. No, 3 months later, you came up to 6. Your hunger only got much, much, much higher. What 6? I need to go to 20. Then you're 40, and then 50, and then 100. I hear sometimes in the Shabbatons, people talking in the table. The amounts that run. Oh, yeah, I send him 3 million, 5 million, 10 million next week. If we close that deal, it's going to be right there, 20 million. They talk about millions like people over here by the poor neighborhood talking about dollars. Why? It doesn't even excites them. Why? Because they're already in a big league. But when they started, it was just a dream. Do you think now they are settled? That's it. They achieved their goal? Absolutely not. The more they make, the hungrier they get. That's what the Gemara says. יש לו מנה, רוצה 200. יש לו 200, רוצה 400. This desire does not have 1 minute of timeout. As soon as you just went to get a lottery card and you just found out you made $5 million, what's the first thing come to your mind? How will I invest it to turn it quickly into 10 million? Immediately, relax. Sit 1 month, read, sit by the lake, fish a little bit, grill some fish. What's the rush? No time to waste. Every day the money standing in my checking account is a pure loss. Right away, hey, can I come to a meeting? What investment you have to offer? Why is it? This desire never rests a second. Nothing will cause the materialism to become more than what it should, and nothing will cause the brain, the sechel, to be more than what it should. What does it mean? When the material will go too high, more than the way Hashem designed it. Hashem designed it in a specific measurement. If it will go, let's say, 20% higher than what Hashem designed it, it will crush you. That's it. You will reach complete darkness in life. That there's no way to come out of that darkness. If the brain will go higher than the ability that Hashem limited the sechel to go to a certain level, if it will go higher by 20, 30% when the way the programmer designed it, which is Hashem, then the test, the balance between the good and bad will be annulled. And therefore the test will be all dismissed. So the design is in such a way that the choice between good and bad will always remain around 50-50. 50% to do the right thing, 50% to do the wrong thing. And once the material is in control, the darkness of the neshama is becoming stronger and cannot attach to Hashem. And if the neshama is in control, the material is going down to almost doesn't exist. Therefore, both of them has a limitation to what level they can reach in this world. I'll give you an example. Why didn't Hashem make the world that we can learn the whole Torah in one day? Why did He limit the brain that you need 7 years to know the Torah? Imagine what wonderful life it would be, hypothetically speaking. What a wonderful life it would be that every page you read, you remember. That's it. It's in your computer. Just like now. You take a picture on your phone, the picture is there. 30,000 pictures is there. The phone has it. Every time you want to pull it, you pull it out. You don't have part of the picture being erased after a while. There's no such thing. It's either you have it or you don't have it. So what would be greater than that everything you read, you remember? So, who's to say that it takes so slow to read? Why can't we just read like the autistic kids? They look at the 2 pages on a book, and they can type the whole thing to you now, in a second. Here, like this, everything, ask him about, tak, 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 he will type everything. Meaning whatever the soul aiming at, immediately records all the information. No need to read. Photographic, boom, take a picture. In case you are wondering if what I say is true or not, I suggest you will watch the autistic artist in Paris. They went with him, a black autistic man, probably in his 30s, I believe. They took him in a helicopter to fly above Paris. Fast, helicopter, all over Paris. I don't know, 20 minutes ride. The entire city of Paris is huge. And then they gave him a big wall with a brush to paint Paris. How fast he saw every building? Less than a second. When a helicopter moves, it moves one building next, highways, windows. You have to see on YouTube how he painted the entire city of Paris to the smallest details. How this window, broken window, frames, roofs, antennas on a building. Millions of details. He painted everything just by seeing it less than a second. Every building is so less than a second, and he knows all the details of it. How wonderful it would be if we would have the same ability. Think about it. Wow, what life we would have. Unlimited amount of knowledge. You would leave the room, I would call you 2 hours later, can you describe to me the shul? You will know every detail, every book, where it's on the shelf, even if you didn't pay attention to it. Your soul automatically take picture of all the surrounding. Every book, here, there, the chandelier, the notes, the words on those, right there on this tree. Every letter, every stain on a rug, everything. Which, by the way, that's exactly what happened, but you're not aware of it. If I hypnotize you, I'll get out of you every detail in this room to the smallest dot. And not only this room, everything you ever see in your life. The question is, why didn't Hashem make us aware of it in our conscious? Why it automatically goes into the subconscious? Wouldn't it be wonderful that we read thousands of books per day? Flipping the pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 minutes, you finish a book. Don't you think Hashem knew about this option? If the brain will have such an ability, life would not have any test. What person would like to waste any minute on something else besides reading Torah and Gemara? Do you know what satisfaction it is that you read a page in less than a minute and you understand every detail, every word, everything, and you will never forget it even in 20 years? All you want is to swallow as much as you can. What keeps us now breaking? You learn, you put your heart into it, a month later, you go back to the page, half of it you don't remember anymore. You come to a lecture, you sit for 2 hours, you go out the door, someone will interview you. What can you tell me from Rabbi Mizrachi lectures? Lecture 2 in series, Way of God. Can you conclude the lecture? Yeah, I talk about that autistic one in Paris. That's all I can remember. But what about the shiur from the Ramcha? Nah. Why is it? It's frustration. Again and again and again and again. How many becomes Rav Ovadia Yosef? 1 out of 1,000,000. This is exactly what he's talking about. If the brain has no limit, just like we said before, if the Yetzer Hara, the materialism wouldn't have any limit, it will destroy the soul. That's it. There was no return. Complete darkness, spiritual darkness, and you're done. Just like in Egypt, if we go to the 50th gate of impurity, we will never come out of there for eternity. If the ability of the soul will be in to the highest potential. I met a friend of mine today, as a doctor. He told me that in the DNA of a baby that is created, more than 90% of it's not being used. Nobody knows why it was made by the Creator. Very little from it give everything the baby will have. The brain, the organs, the nerve system, the ears, everything, it's very, very little. More than 90% of it look like a waste. So I told him, I can say the same thing about the sperm. A husband is going with his wife, she's going to become pregnant. Only one seed will go into an egg while there are billions. Why they created and made in each time they're together that there are billions of potential seeds? And how he decide which one of the million or billions, whatever the number is, it's an astronomical number, why this one will go into the egg and all the other one is basically wasted in a system. Those are big mysteries. The more we investigate, the more we learn about nature, we have actually more questions than answers. Right? The interesting part is that the Gemara 2,000 years ago, remember, there was no microscope. This is all divine information. The Gemara explained what's the difference between identical twins to unidentical twins. Nobody knew about germs back then, besides the Gemara, in science. Nobody knew about the microscopic seed. Nobody knew about the seed in the egg 2,000 years ago. Who would have known that? There was no microscope, no labs, none of the things we have today. But it's in the Gemara, it says, one seed who goes into one egg and the egg split later to 2 are identical twins. That's what the Gemara says. One seed that goes to one egg and another seed goes to another egg at the same time, 2 seeds in 2 different eggs, 2 babies in one delivery, but completely different. One can be a boy, one a girl, 2 boys, 2 girls, but not alike. Meaning every seed has his own design from A to Z. Blonde, tall, short. defected, not defected, healthy, color of the skin, everything. In that microscopic seed, you can't see it. You need a microscope to see how it moves. Tiny dot. This tiny dot has a 6 feet tall image with 10 trillion connections in the brain are all in that little microscopic dot. And there were millions like this. Millions, it could have been a whole nation in one time. Why only one goes in and the rest of it, nothing happens from it? Only Hashem knows. The Kabbalah explains some of it, which is a little bit scary. But the idea is that we have no idea. I mean, we know a little bit here and there, but this is unbelievable how the Gemara was able to know such thing. Obviously, you see it's from the creator of the world. What human being will know about seed and egg, splitting, not splitting? They wouldn't know it. The Ramchal continue. Therefore, 2 worlds were created. This world and the next world. This world has its laws and nature, and what a person has to put in efforts as long as he's here in this world. And the next world has its own rules, different than here. That's the place of receiving the reward. Also, what you should know, the humankind, what you see today is completely different than what it should have been. Today you see people, right? You see their size, you see their ability, you see their yetzer hara, their even inclination. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Everything you see now is as a result of the sin of Adam HaRishon. If Adam HaRishon would not commit his sins, the whole world will be completely different than what you see right now. What you see right now is the consequences of 1 minute of a bad choice by Adam. It's affected everything here. So much suffering people have in the world because of that minute. The way to gain your place in the next world became so much harder because of that 1 minute. Women give birth in such difficult way because of that 1 minute. Women have to raise children 20 years until they get married with so much pain and agony and suffering because of that minute. None of that was the original plan. How frustrating it is. Isn't it a disaster? Think about it. Let's see what the Ramchal has to say about it. וממה שיצטרך עוד לדעת שהנה המין האנושי אין עניינו הראשון כמו שאנו רואים ומבחינים אותו עתה. A person that you see today, it's what you see now after the sin of Adam HaRishon. It wasn't supposed to be like that in the original plan. כי אולם שינוי גדול היה בו, והוא עניין של חטאו של אדם הראשון. The sin of Adam HaRishon changed every detail of this world. שנשתנה בו האדם והעולם ממה שהיו בתחילה. The whole world and all humankind has changed drastically after that moment. ואולם, פרטי השינוי הזה ותולדותיהם רבים, ועוד נדבר בם לפנים בסייעתא דשמיא. The amount of changes are many and tremendous, and we're going to elaborate on them further on in the book. Conclusion. All the things that you see right now that relates to humankind, you can divide to 2 different categories. Before the sin and after the sin. Adam HaRishon, while he was created by Hashem designed him, first Adam, he was built with two parts, two opposite parts, body and soul. In reality, good and bad was the combination. And he has to choose which one of the two to be attached to the good or to the bad. He should have chose the good, that the soul will eliminate the body, that the brain will overcome the heart. If he would have done so, that would be the end of the test. From there on, everything will be smooth and easy. You should know, although we don't feel the soul in our body besides the mind, the thoughts, the understanding, which you know it comes from the soul, not from a piece of meat. But to say, I feel my soul in the body as a separate entity, it's a little bit hard to describe. So if somebody asks you, how do you know you have a soul? The best proof you can give is that I'm unconscious, that I am aware of what I'm doing, that I remember, that I can choose, that I understand my emotions, my reality, my thinking. All of that comes from my soul. But to prove here is the body, here is the soul, to separate between them, it's not possible. You should know that the soul, if you activate the soul to overcome materialism, you can actually elevate your materialism, your body, to a higher spiritual level. It's called in the Torah, lekadesh et hachomer, to sanctify the body, material. Some holy people, you can see right away that their body is in a very high level. I've seen few chachamim never ever eat in weddings or in places. Sit the entire night, drink water and nothing else. I went few times to Rav Dov Cook, Tzaddik Yesod Olam, he drinks natural juices. Squeeze, pomegranate, things like this. That's what he live with. You have to see him in his 70s, standing 6-7 hours a day in tefillot. In this, how many people in this age can stand 6-7 hours like this, breaking the mind and breaking the knees, sanctifying the body in such a level that you cannot believe. People like this don't need a woman, don't need food more than just something to survive, mamash very little, and do not need any physical pleasure to cheer them up. Zero. Not only they don't need, if you ask them to come and get, it will be a torture for them. Come, I'll take you on vacation. I want to take you to the lake to swim. We have a new jet ski, Rabbi. Come, let's go. And please, no, I'm begging you, come. No, it's a torture for me. Why you want to stay in a room for the rest of your life? Ben Ish Chai HaKadosh was 1 month in jail. His brothers were business people. They put all the business on his name. Yosef Chaim from Baghdad. They were supporting him. The business, the corporation was on his name. He was sitting and learning Torah. One day, the Arab police came. Yosef Chaim, come with us. You're arrested. Why? Problems in the business. Government investigation. They put him in jail for 30 days in Baghdad, in a room, with books. Later he said that was the happiest 30 days of his life. He reached the highest level he ever reached. To the point that he saw all the souls of all the wicked people that were reincarnated in the walls of the jail and released all of them. כל הגלגולים שהיו שם בקירות, עשה להם תיקון, לבן איש חי. Why? Because he reached such a high level that the body was completely eliminated. It became all spiritual. So the Ramchal continues, so remember this, לקדש את החומר. There is one thing to lower the chomer. When you lower the chomer, the spirituality goes up. Then you can eliminate the chomer. And then there is a higher level than everything to sanctify the chomer, that the chomer, the material, become also spiritual. Also spiritual. That's in this generation almost does not exist. Almost does not exist. So the Ramchal continue. There is a situation that the bones and the material of the body will become pure. You purify it. ותעלהו עילוי אחר עילוי. It will go low, higher level and higher and higher and higher until it will be deserved to join the soul to the perfect, complete joy. Few people went up to the upper world with their body. 10 in a history. We should know that would be the level of Adam if he would have not committed the sin. שהייתה נשמתו מזככת את גופו זיכוך אחר זיכוך. Adam would stay in the world, every day his body will become higher and higher and higher until the body and soul will be one. One holy, pure entity. And will enjoy the spiritual, eternal pleasure. כיוון שחטא, because he committed a sin, everything changed drastically. In the beginning, the creation had missing things. Look like defects. Things that needs attention. שהיו בשיעור מה שהיה מצטרך לכשיהיה האדם הראשון במצב השקול שזכרנו. The balance. There was Adam before he committed the sin. The Yetzer Hara was not in his body yet. It was an external thing. Appealing, attracting, but not inside, killing you from inside like today. And a person could have earned a level of perfectness with hard work. After he committed the sin, the mission became a lot harder for the entire creation. It affected the whole world. Now the way to achieve 100% perfect level is much harder after the sin of Adam HaRishon. In the beginning, all what the person had to do is to remove himself from touching the bed. There is a bed here, there is a good, go to the good, that's it. After the sin, you don't see the good, just like you saw it before. To find the good by itself became a very hard mission. Before there was good and bad, there was clear. Now, every religious person you talk to and ask him what's the good, you're going to get a different answer. One will tell you this, one will tell you that, one will tell you this way, that way, this ideology, that ideology. According to Torah. Do you know how many different truths people will describe to you? Ask a Chabadnik what's the good. Ask Breslev. Ask Satmer. Ask Dati Leumi. Ask Sfaradi from Porat Yosef. Ask Litai from Ponovich. And you see that everyone would write an article, what's the ultimate good, and you're going to see some differences. And I can argue with very convincing arguments what's the ultimate good. The Hasid will say one thing, the Litvish will say something, the Sfaradi may say something, the Temani will say something, and many other ways. Now, the truth is, the good and the truth is not as clear as it was before the sin. And the defects are multiplied and causing a lot of bad to the human being and to the world. It's not as easy to get out of the bed and aim towards the good. So, after the sin of Adam HaRishon, he can never reach anymore the perfect level that he could have reached before the sin. No matter how hard he's going to try, the ability became limited. When this situation will be fixed and reversed to the original plan, after the Messiah will arrive, and all the wicked people will be clean from the world, Jews and non-Jews, and there will be resurrection of the dead, and Hashem will eliminate the Satan and the evil inclination. He will put him out of commission. Therefore, there will not be Yetzer Hara, eternal Yetzer Hara anymore. And only righteous people will remain without an evil inclination, without it, without sicknesses, without laziness, without fatigue, without anger, without jealousy, without poverty, without any bad negative things. None of that will exist in the world. Without death, without new people being born to the world, without wars, without sicknesses, without abomination, without any of that. Crystal, pure world with millions of righteous people. Nobody touched without permission. No one has any shortage. No one is falling asleep in the middle of Shiur Torah. Nobody plays with his phone when the rabbi speaks. Nobody come an hour late or leave an hour early. No one complain if there's going to be rain or not rain. It's not relevant. We are 100% in 100% spiritual level. That's the answer to many smart people who ask, if my grandfather is already in heaven, I'm worried. After the Mashiach would come, they're going to bring him from heaven into this lousy world. I don't want my grandfather to walk in the streets of Tel Aviv after being in heaven for who knows how many years. Very good point. And even in Jerusalem or Bnei Brak, you compare Jerusalem to heaven, being with Rambam or Moshe Rabbeinu or Rashi or Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and enjoying the greatness of God, and you want to bring them down to this physical world? What, to walk in 100 degrees and sweat in Judea and Samaria mountains? As great as it is, what are you going to do? Put him in yeshiva in Yerushalayim? He was with Rashi in the same yeshiva, and Rambam. How exactly he would like to come here? It's a serious downgrade. The answer, no. If he would come to the world the way the world is right now, it's a huge downgrade. It's a terrible punishment. That's what Prophet Samuel was so afraid when King Saul called his soul. He went to this woman and she brought the soul of Samuel, Shmuel, Hanavi. And he said, Lama irgaztani la'aloteni? Why did you disturb my soul to bring me back to this world? The Gemara says he was afraid that Hashem reopened his trial. And he has to come back again to this world. He was so petrified to leave the place where he was in heaven and come back to this world. This was 3,000 years ago, not today. The world was a much better place than today. And he was still afraid. Why? Because he knew that this world has Yetzer Hara, and has Amalek, and has wars, and has anti-Semitism, and has fatigue, and it's hard to learn, and you have to deal with a lot of anti-Torah people. He had a hard time in his life, the prophet. Who wants to come back to this world? That's obvious. Aval, after Hashem will slaughter the Satan, there is no attraction to the bed. Imagine you can be a year awake and you don't fall asleep. You don't have any limitation in your memory. You enjoy the greatness of the Torah in the highest level. You will be laughing at sport, or fashion, or jewelry, or fancy cars. You're going to be hysterically falling on the floor from laughing. Rambam said, Ma'adanim yu metzuim ke'afar. Wealth will be like sand on the floor. It will have zero value. No one would want any materialism. No one will care about the flavor of the food. It will not be relevant. Right now, it's all comes from the evil inclination that it's like an injected poison into the human being. After the sin of Adam Arishon. Once this venom will be clean, and the souls will be with no Satan inside, no Yetzer Hara, no attraction to anything negative, only positive, only Torah, only holiness. That will be a higher level than heaven. That's why the deceased righteous people will be upgraded by coming back to the world, because we're going back to the level of Adam before the sin. And then we will understand how wonderful the world should have been if we didn't have to go through all this struggle. Since Hashem brought death to humanity after the sin of Adam, He told him, from the day you eat from the tree, you will have to die. That's it. So, people have to die. How much we cry when someone died, how much we suffer when we miss them. All this death is one of the most hurting subject in life. Just yesterday we lost 2 brothers, a week ago 2 brothers, which has the same name. Unbelievable. 2 brothers and with the same name. How much we suffer when we see a funeral. How much we suffer when we lose a grandpa or a spouse or a child or a brother. All of that is results of the sin of Adam Arishon. We should have not been dead. We should have lived here and never die. Hashem told him, if you eat from the tree, you will bring on yourself death. What does it mean, death? Separation between the soul and the body. That's what death is. So, the combination of body and soul is now annulled, separated. But it will be reconnected in a future to come, after the resurrection of the dead. So now, where is those 2 pieces will be until now? One day they have to come back and being connected. You have to reserve the one and you have to reserve the 2. So the soul is going up to the upper world. And what about the body? The body is dissolved, disappeared. And then what? Will be put back together just as it was. Meaning the way you look right now, look at yourself in a mirror, you're getting older every year, and older and older and changing, and wrinkled, and eventually the worms will eat you up and only a bunch of bones will remain. This is an illusion. Every inch of you will be put back together in a time for the resurrection to come. However, we have to ask, which one of the bodies will resurrect? You've been here in 10 different bodies. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rachel.
Came back as a man, came back as a woman, you came back as a Kohen, you came back as a Levi. You keep being reincarnated. Your neshama went from one cup into another. It was in this white one, then it went to yellow one, and to red one, and to blue, it keeps moving. You have something in, you take it out, this goes to the ground, dissolved, put it in a new body, and a new body, and a new body. Now comes the resurrection of the dead. This soul has to come back to the world. Which one of the 10 boxes will come with it? There are few options here. There are few options here. This is a very big mystery. It's not a simple answer, yes or no. One option, like you said, the final body. What's the point of putting together bodies that were previous? So the last body should be put together and that's it. The last box. Other boxes are not relevant. Why it's logical? Because in every reincarnation you have an opportunity to upgrade your level. And you're going to be judged based on the final reincarnation. Did you really upgrade or no? Like you have 10 different parts in a test. One, and again, and again, and again, until you get to the last one. Based on the last one, they're going to give you passed or fail. So it has to follow the last one. But not everyone agree with that. Some says the most righteous body will come up. The body that was sanctified the most has more merit to come back to this world because it's holier than other bodies. It gave less hard time to the soul. So the reward of the body, that you're going to come back in the image of the body that was the most righteous body, meaning the soul was in the highest level in that body. That's a second opinion. A third opinion is all bodies will resurrect. There's no limitation. The soul can be even in 1,000 bodies, the Ari HaKadosh say. Just like Cain and Hevel came back in reincarnation, Hevel came back as Moshe, and Cain came back as Yitro, Jethro, and the Egyptians that Moshe killed in the same generation. So there were 2 bodies to 1 soul in the same time. I have a lecture, how can you marry yourself? Remember that lecture from a year ago? We did it in Brooklyn. You should watch it. There is hypothetically chance that you married your wife, but you actually married yourself. Why? Because Hashem can send you back to a reincarnation. Part of your soul comes in a man, and a part of your soul comes in a woman. And then the man meets a woman in a Bukharian wedding. You know, come taste my ashpolo. No, come taste my samsa. They come, how are you? What family you are? Chaimov, Borochov, everyone is cousin anyway. Cousin, your grandfather is my grandfather, is me. In the end, everyone is relative. And you're thinking, wow, I'm going to marry my cousin, and you don't even know you're actually going to marry yourself. Imagine when you die, you have a lot of complaints about your wife. and you come to the court of heaven, and Hashem asks, why are you so upset? Wow, what a snake wife you gave me. Wow, she destroyed me. You don't know. Oh, yeah? Tell me what you think about her. Don't worry, there's no Lashon Hara here. Say the truth, that's Olam HaEmet. And you talk and talk and talk and talk, and Hashem will answer you. I never saw a person that hates himself so much. Look how many negative things you think about yourself. No, not me, her. Her, it's you, you fool. So, it's very possible that all bodies will come. All of them can come back. What's the problem? What happened if the soul was in one body wicked, and in the next body became a Baal Tshuva and righteous?
The Torah, the prophets say that only the righteous resurrect. Resurrection of the dead is only to the righteous. Only the righteous. Now the soul was in a body that was wicked. You died wicked. You went to hell X amount of years. The fire purified your soul, and you were sent back to the world in a new body. This body became a tzaddik, became a chacham, tzaddik, learning Torah. Baruch Hashem, you died righteous and you went to heaven. Now comes the resurrection of the dead. If all bodies have to rise, we have a dilemma here. One body, it was righteous. The other body was wicked. How is he going to rise? Based on that, my personal opinion is that only the final body will resurrect. Based on this kushia. But I'm not an authority. It's just my common sense. Why the last one? Because all the previous ones obviously did not finish their tikkun. So how they're going to resurrect? The prophets clearly say in a prophecy that only the righteous will rise. Verabim miyeshenei afar yakitzu. The Gemara say, Rabim aval lo kulam. Many will resurrect, but not everyone. And the Gemara brings a list of all the wicked people that will not resurrect. And after you read the list, you will see that many Jews that you know are not in a situation to resurrect. Therefore, how can a previous body resurrect, but a later time body will not resurrect? The person goes back, he's supposed to progress. So most likely, it's probably the last body. That will be very, very big mystery to resolve, but in order for us to know the answer, we have to be righteous. Because if you be righteous, you will resurrect. If you will resurrect, you know the answer to the question. If you won't resurrect, you will be screaming in hell. Besides the pain of the fire, you will still scream, wow, I am dying to know who resurrected. Who? So, big mystery. Before we finish, Rabotai, we have 15 minutes left. So, since Hashem decreed on a human being to die, there is a separation between the body and soul, and they both have to be reserved somewhere until they will reunite. So, since a person came from the ashes, from the sand, he will return to the sand. And that's what's written, Ki afarata ve'el afar tashuv. Genesis 3, verse 19. That's the answer to all these fools and all these ignorants that burn the bodies of their parents, cremates the body, spread it to the fish, and every fish bites a piece from their father, and their bodies are in 1,000 different sharks and dolphins and who knows what else, or in the bottom of the ocean. They destroyed their own parents. To save a few $1,000s on a burial, they will suffer for millions of years, knowing that they are actually destroy them and the body cannot resurrect because of that. Where are you going to get the body from? Everything is messed up completely. The Torah says, Jews and Goyim, male and female, you came from the ground, you must return to the ground. Why God care where you're going to? Let your kid throw you in a garbage can, and they burn the garbage. End of story. מה עכשיו? To make a grave, to come to the grave every year, yortzai. Who needs all this? If the body is nothing, and the body died, and the body cannot move even, and only begin to smell and become a real burden, you got to get rid of it ASAP. There are two options. One is to burn it. Two is to throw it to the bottom of the ocean for the sharks to eat it. And three is to bury it in the ground. Why does God care if you're going to do A, B, or C? The answer is because is recycling. Same thing you throw in a recycling will come back to your table a year later. That bottle. That's the concept of recycling. It's not destroying, it's recycling. This body that right now is dissolved and becomes sand, Hashem will collect that sand and rebuild the body from that sand.
And how is it going to be? There is a bone in the back of the neck, etzem aluz, that bone. That's when Hashem is going to put back the body from that. That's going to be the foundation. From the DNA of that bone, the entire body will be recreated. That bone gets the existence and the energy from Seudah Revi'it of Shabbat. Motzei Shabbos, you have to eat at least 1 ounce of bread. If it's very hard for you to eat bread after all the delicious food you ate on Shabbat, and you feel stuffed, at least eat 1 ounce of mezonot. If it's very, very hard for you to eat mezonot, and you feel like vomiting already from all the food you ate, next Shabbat don't eat too much. Leave some room for Motzei Shabbat. If you cannot control your appetite, very sad, you can't control what you eat. So what do? At least you eat 1 ounce of fruit, mishivat aminim. Dates, grapes, something, at least 1 ounce. Lichvot Seudah Revi'it. If this is also hard for you, drink 1 glass of wine, 86 grams in 1 shot, or grape juice.
If that is hard for you, we will have to retail him for you. Tov, we move on. Now, the soul what does the soul have to do while the body is dissolved? It takes about 11 to 12 months for the body to become complete sand. Some is eaten by the worms, and some is just goes back to the ashes. So the question now, the neshama is in the upper world. There is any connection between the soul and the body in that year? The soul went up. The soul is in a court of heaven for 1 year. Is being judged for every second of life. Everything is being reviewed. Everything is recorded. Every word, every step, every mind, every thought. While you're standing in front of God and your children say Kaddish for you 10 times a day, and the yeshiva is praying for your soul, and your smart son sponsoring every week a lecture for the memory of his father, for the elevation of the soul. There's a lot of good things are being done for you while you're being judged, which help your trial very much to get an easy sentence. Every bite that the worms eat in the body, it's like taking a needle and sticking it to your body. That's how you feel it in the court of heaven, the Zohar say. Every worm, how the worms eat the body? They make a hole. They begin to dig inside and start sucking and sucking, just like they do with the fruit. Sometimes you get a cherry, you see a hole in it. If you open it, you see the worm is inside, alive or dead. It's very common. You can even see them inside onions sometimes. Who would believe? They love onions. Inside hot pepper, Mexican worms, they like jalapeno. You may think, wow, if I touch the jalapeno, then I touch my eyes for 3 hours, I cannot open my eyes. How the worms dig inside and sucking and leaking. Hard to understand. Those worms making holes in the body, and the person suffer non-stop, unless he was not a jealous person. There is a solution. If you are a very easygoing person and you're never jealous with anyone else, the worms don't touch your body. You stay complete. The body will dissolve by itself after a long, long time. Very interesting.
How do we know it? There is a verse. Rekev atzamot kin'ah. the body become, what do you call it when something becomes stale, full of worms? Rikavon. How do you say it in English? Rotten. The body rotten when a person is jealous. A person never have jealousy. The body is not being rotten. Why? Rekev, rikavon, rekev atzamot. What caused the bones to rot? Jealousy. The verse by King Solomon. There was one secular woman, she died. And they had to bring her body to Israel. And when they went to bring her body, they opened the grave and they found out that she's complete. No holes in her body. That was very, very strange because usually only big rabbis are like that. Like Rabbi Ochayon from Morocco, his son and his grandson went to Morocco, got permission from the king to bring the grandfather to bury him in the Holy Land. He was already dead for 60 years. He's buried in Morocco 60 years. They opened the grave, Chevrat Kadisha, and they got the shock of their life. This Rabbi Ochayon was complete. Now one hole in his body after 60 years. When they brought him to Israel, Rav Elyashiv told them, make a new funeral and bring all the Bachurei Yeshivot. Tell them to close the Gemara. It's not Bitul Torah. Let everybody see what does it mean to be a tzaddik. 60 years in a grave, now one hole. Rav Ochayon, we understand. אבל מה עם האישה הזאת, this חילונית? How is she complete? She wasn't religious. They all were shocked. Rav Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal say, I want to conduct a thorough investigation. Who this woman was. And they found out when she was 14, she went into coma, and she was for many, many years in coma until she died. She didn't have a chance to jealous. She was in coma all her life. Unbelievable. There was one woman that they went to a funeral and thousands of birds came. Thousands of birds came and sat on her grave. The rabbis from Chevrat Kadisha never saw such thing. They say, wow, where all these birds came from? And right on her grave, everyone trying to sit on her grave. So her son say, all her life she took care of the birds. She was giving them food every day. Every day put out food for the bread. They all came. They knew they can find their food by her. All the birds came to give her respect in her funeral. Tov, mamash, few minutes left. So the soul, see the body is obviously being dissolved, and the soul has their own problem over there in the upper world, to the world of the souls. Once the soul separates from the body, the soul get a new body in the upper world. It's not physical. It's a spiritual body with the same image like the body that is being dissolved. What's the name of that alphabet? It's called Chaluka de Rabbanan. Chaluk means like a kilt, like an alphabet, like a bathrobe, like it's covered the whole body. It's called Chaluk. Chaluka de Rabbanan. It looks exactly like your body, same color of eye, same color of hair, everything the same. But if you try to grab it, you cannot feel any physical. Why? It's not a physical world. So every person looks exactly as he was. You may see your relatives there. Your grandfather, your brother, your parents may pass. Everyone recognizes everyone. But there's no physical contact. So now the soul is in the upper world. Once the trial finished, if he was a righteous person, he is set to be in a specific level in heaven.
There is unlimited amount of levels. Every level, even though it's a little bit above the one below, is a whole world. The people that are one level lower are killing themselves, that with one more mitzvah they could have elevated themselves to the higher level. Like steps. One more mitzvah and I would be there. Chaval. One more hour of Torah and I would be there. I always tell people, be smart. You can elevate, you can upgrade yourself a lot. What you should do, donate to Kiruv. Multiply yourself. The more people that will become religious thanks to your money, then you're not growing from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4. You are growing from 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. And then if more people will become religious, you're going from 1 to 100, 100 to 200. Because it's not only you. You get income from a lot of other people. You created them. Until now they were wicked. And now they started to keep mitzvot. They learn Torah. They pray. They do good things. All of that comes to you to elevate you. That's why I always tell people, when you watch a lecture, share. Send it to family, friends, people from work, WhatsApp groups. Share the link, share the video. Why people don't share? First, they don't think about it. They have their own issues in life. Those who knows about this option to share and to gain a lot of profit, why would they risk losing such a thing? By clicking a button that doesn't cost you a penny? You're giving up such an opportunity? They're afraid what the people say. Oh, you keep sending me this rabbi, this religion, enough. Don't send me lectures. From 10 people, 1 will complain. 9 will may enjoy. 1 will become Shomer Shabbat. You gain a whole world. For the barking of 1 fool, 1 idiot, you lost billions of mitzvot. How dumb you can be. Yeah, but he's an arrogant person, he has big mouth, I don't have the head for him. Throw him out of the back, out of the group. What do you need connection with such a person? A righteous person has to be allergic to wicked people. Don't let anyone fool you that you should love the wicked. It's against the Torah to love them. If you love the wicked, you hate God. If you hate the wicked, you love God. There's no possibility to love God and those who hate Him at the same time. If you love your father, you hate the haters of your father. If you love the haters of your father, that means you hate your father. You got it? When Achitophel went with Avshalom against the king, King David, right? Avshalom went with Achitophel together to bury and destroy King David. Someone who ran to hug Avshalom and help him, give him blessing. I'm with you. I'm supporting you. Can you call him a lover of David HaMelech? Cannot be. You either love David or you love Avshalom. If you love David, you hate Avshalom. If you love Avshalom, you hate David. If you love Avigdor Lieberman or Bernie Sanders, Shem Reshaim Irkav, you hate Hashem. If you love Hashem, you cannot look at these lousy, wicked people. You can look at them. If they would be in a room, you would not agree to enter. Why you don't come in? I can't be together in the same room with such wicked, horrible people. Hashem hates hypocrites. Make sure you're not one of them. Don't let anyone fool you. You have to love everyone. Where does it say such thing? If you believe this nonsense, I urge you to learn in a book of Orchot Tzadikim, Way of the Righteous, chapter 24, Chanufa. Read, it's few pages there. Read carefully every word there. And you see how much you were wrong. Loving the wicked equal hating Hashem. Hating the wicked equal loving Hashem. Caring about His honor. If you're still not convinced, you don't have to. Tehillim you read? I believe you are.
King David say, Mesanecha Hashem esna, ובמתקוטטך אתקוטט. Those who fight against you, I will fight them to the end. תכלית שנאה שנאתים. I hate them in the highest level of hating. King David is bragging to Hashem how much he hates the wicked people. But not just hate, the highest level of hate. Rabbi, you preach hate. I don't preach anything. I teach what's written. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. You want to learn the right way? That's the place right here. You want to learn illusions and nonsense? Go somewhere else. They teach you nonsense. Right here you learn exactly what's written. Right? I did not write Tehillim. David HaMelech. It's an authority. The Gemara is full of psukim from Tehillim. We learn halachot from it. Rav Avigdor Miller Zatzal, read in his books. Read his comments about the wicked people. How do you have to live with them? How do you have to do business with them? How do you have to look at what they do? Who do you have to love? Who you have to hate? He already answered every question you may have. The top authority, big Chacham Rav Avigdor Miller Zatzal. And we finish Baruch Hashem with this. So, once the soul finished the trial and the soul is in heaven, in the upper world, in the Olam HaNeshamot, the world of souls, they will have rest. Finally you'll have rest. No more accounting, no more customers, no more problems with the car, no more mortgage, no more looking for a shidduch, no more wondering where your children are at 12 o'clock at night and what they have on their phone and what they take and what they don't take. All this lack of peace of mind will go away. Now you finally have a menucha, מנוחת הנפש. כל זמן התגלגל על הגוף העניינים הראויים להתגלגל עליו. When you are in this world, Hashem made sure that you don't have a minute of rest. Snowstorm, problem, flat tire, phone doesn't work, this, customer left, you missed, the check didn't arrive. There's always going to be something. Once the neshama shochenet במעלה ובתענוג in a physical pleasure, right? As we mentioned, that's the real reward. That was the purpose to get there. The level will be determined based on your actions in this world. 40, 50 years of tests will determine where you're going to be for many, many years. Therefore, the level of perfectness that you arrived, that you reached, it's still incomplete. Although you are in a very good place and enjoying the Ziva Shechina, the greatness of God, it's still not perfect. The only perfect way is together when you will merge together with your body. But without the evil inclination poison. The soul and the body purely. Without Yetzer Hara, without physical desires, without any of that. Now, you're going to get the upgrade and reach the complete level. Complete level. The souls will wait for the day that will reunite with the body. The Zohar say when the soul leaves the body, it's horrible pain and sorrow to the soul. That the soul is leaving the body. You may think, why the soul care about leaving the body? It's a wonderful thing to get rid of this lousy body. All the time, desire, cigarettes, food, this. Finally, I got rid of that body. No. Because the soul, as soon as the soul comes out of the body, it's already Olam HaEmet. And the soul knows, I can never reach the perfect level of Adam before the sin without that body. Where are you going?
Once the power of the soul came down after the sin of Adam, and it was limited, the strength of the soul, the ability of the soul was reduced, right? The ability of the soul to reflect the divine light on the body is also reduced. Before, the divine light from the soul, remember, a spark of God is in it, was like a huge projector of spiritual light. But after the sin, the light was reduced a lot. And both of them lost, the body and the soul. Why? The body lost because it doesn't get the divine light to purify the body. The soul loses because the body is not purified, it's an obstacle. So it's dragged the soul down. Either way, you lose from here and you lose from here. Once the soul exits the body and go to the upper world, it receives the original divinity and the light that it was missing inside the sinner body. Based on the level of what level you reach. Every level that is higher, the higher is the light of Hashem. So the soul can be elevated more and more and more and more. How the soul continue to be elevated? If you left a lot of students in the world that learn Torah, you put them in yeshivot, your money put them in yeshivot. Every mitzvah they do goes to your account. On Rosh Hashanah, Hashem opened the books of all the dead people and give you the upgrade you earned this year. So from level 200, you went to 201 or 203. And then 250 and 300 and 500. As higher and higher and higher. And the higher you go, the closer you are to the light of Hashem, to Kisei HaKavod. So, once the soul enters the body, the first thing the body gets is the first initial divine light. Immediately the body will reach a level that is greater than all the reincarnations that has been here in the world. No matter how many great moments you have in this body and in this one and this, and you learn all your life Torah, and the body receive a lot of light thanks to the soul, that's nothing compared to the moment of resurrection of the dead, that the pure soul will enter the body, but this time pure body, without the Satan in it, without the venom of the Yetzer Hara, without desire, without lies, without fakeness, without all of that. Pure. That marriage, that connection, that reunion is a huge light to the body. Words cannot describe that moment. So all we have to hope that we, Be'ezrat Hashem, every one of us, will be tzaddikim, righteous enough, that we'll be able to feel that moment. I said we finish here, Baruch Hashem, we finish chapter 3. Next week we'll start with chapter 4. But I always said, if I had $1 billion in cash, and they would tell me, you can buy a ticket, the price of the ticket is $1 billion. What is the ticket for? For a very big show. I allow you one guess. What show I'm talking about? Huh? No. What did he say? I can hear. To come to the day, even for one day, to be there when the Mashiach will arrive and all the wicked Jews, Erev Rav, all the lefty liberals, all the Bernie Sanders, Shem Reshaim Yirkav, all the Yair Lapids and Avigdor Lieberman and all the other Benito and their friends that hate so much Torah and hate the rabbis and hate Bachurei Yeshivot and cannot stand the laws of Shulchan Aruch, and they want to promote gay rights and promote transportation on Shabbat and to deprive and depress Bachurei Yeshivot and choke them without giving them any food, cut them, close the yeshivot, finish the religion, all these kind of people. How they all unite for the last time and all coming to fight the Mashiach. It's going to be all over the media. Ladies and gentlemen, something very special is happening behind the Western Wall in Jerusalem. Let's go to our reporter in Jerusalem. Hi, John Smith. What can you tell us? There is something with a very big light coming down from the Olive Mountain into the Western Wall. Some religious people here told me that that's the day that the Jews waited for 2,000 years. We are watching history here in Jerusalem. The Messiah is finally here, and I have to admit, it doesn't look like JC. Sorry to disappoint my friends in the church in Texas, but it doesn't look like JC. It doesn't have long hair like a woman, like in Brazil over there. Some drug addict designed that statue, made him a goatee, rock and roll star. What Bachur Yeshiva 2,000 years ago had long hair like this? It's against the Torah for a man to have hair like this. You're not supposed to look like a woman. It's against the Torah. That's what you think about JC, that he looked like a woman? Leave it alone. Leave the jokes alone. So what can you say, John? I don't know what's going on here. I see thousands of liberal Jews coming with signs. We don't want Messiah. We don't want religion. Release us from this primitive religion of yours. We don't want this. Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what just happened. The Messiah started to say all kinds of words in Hebrew, and all these wicked people went up in flame. They're all screaming and burning. Where this came from, what I just told you, this is all in the prophecies. Don't say that that's what I wish them. Don't say that that's what I say they should get. It's nothing my opinion. I'm just telling you what the Zohar say. Usorfan behevel piv. The wicked people come to fight the Mashiach, they begin to say psukim, and all of them goes on fire. Do you know what it means to see all these wicked people who fought the religion non-stop for hundreds of years, who depressed the Bachurei Yeshivot, who made all kinds of laws and promote gay parades and promote all kinds of horrible, unethical laws and corruption and whatever you can think of, and made fun on all the religious people. And once they have the guts to unite together and come to fight the Mashiach, thinking it's some kind of a soldier from Golani, maybe it's Chayal Golani. He came with the Uzi. Religious guy came to fight us? We will show him. Every one of us is, SWAT unit, SEALs, Marines. And he said, Ashrei Yoshvei Betecha, Ad Matai Hashem, Ad Matai Reshaim Ya'alozu. fairness all the way up to the sky. And Bernie Sanders say, destroy Israel, help the Hamas. We don't want Judaism here. We are communists. Shh. How much are you willing to pay for that ticket? There are a few tickets left. Top, leave the joke aside, but you know what I'm talking about, right? We have to hope that we'll be in a side that watch the show and not a part of the show, if you know what I mean. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Monday. No, next Monday there's no lecture. Next Monday is Kriyat Megillah, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. Tomorrow in Brooklyn, Bezrat Hashem as usual. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקרשיה אומר